Okay guys, this is Kim and I'm going to go through how to use a snow overlay today, which will be, I wouldn't say an advanced technique in Photoshop, but I wanted to get a tutorial out there for you guys this week as it's a holiday week and it's just crazy around here. I'm sure it's crazy around your house too. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have already opened here Photoshop CC. If you're not familiar with Photoshop and Lightroom, you can either buy the subscription to the Creative Cloud, which is $10 a month. It gets you both programs without having to purchase the standalone programs for a lot more. Or you can purchase the standalone programs. Most of my tutorials that you'll see will be either in Lightroom or in Photoshop CC. The nice thing about the Creative Cloud, which is what CC stands for, is that you always have the updated version of your software. You do not have to pay every time to have an updated version. So today we're going to be, you have to excuse me, I have a cold as well. Today we're going to be working in Photoshop CC, which is CC 2017. I've already opened up my photographs. So we have the girl pulling the sled, and I have 5 different snow overlays. I'm going to give you guys these snow overlays in a Dropbox download for free. So keep an eye out for those in the group. I will post them for you to use in your own personal use with your clients, however you desire. But this is going to be the tutorial that's going to cover how to use these. Basically in Photoshop, you're going to go to File and Open, and then you're going to go and find the photographs that you desire to work on. I've already done that here so that we're ready to go. But that's going to be your basic thing that you're going to do first every time. So I am here with a girl in the snow and I want to add an overlay, and I have several different overlays that I can utilize to create snow. This one's a little different. If you scroll in here you can see it's got a little bit different shaped snow in it. There's tons of different overlays out there. This one is blurry, and there's a reason. A lot of times when snow's falling it has movement blur to it. And of course this one. You can also stack these. You don't have to just use one. So for this tutorial we'll go back here, and I think that I'm going to use, let's start out with this one. And in order for me to get it to my other image, which is over here, of course my phone's ringing. I apologize. I will shut that off now. Let's try that. I apologize. Here's our photograph. We want to get the snow on top of it. So we're going to go here, and there's two ways to do this. I would strongly suggest learning your hotkeys for Photoshop or your shortcuts. It's going to make your life a lot easier. You can go to Edit and Copy, or you can go to your keyboard and hit Control C. Okay? You want to make sure everything is highlighted. So if it is not highlighted, you want to select all. Okay, and then hit your Control C on your keyboard. Now we have this kind of in limbo on the clipboard, and we're going to come over to our image here, and we're going to create a new layer. The nice thing about Photoshop is you're always working in layers. You never want to do anything directly on your background because that is destructive. You always want to do it in layers, and then you can flatten everything when you are sure that you are done with your edit. To create a new layer, there's several ways to go about this, guys. I always go down here and I create a new layer. I'm going to click on this layer, and I'm going to you can either go up here to Edit and Paste, or I'm going to use a shortcut Control V. Now we have our background layer, and then we have our snow layer. Now obviously this does not fit. That does not look right, and this looks weird. So I'm going to go over here to our, what I call our move around. When you're resizing, again, I apologize, I am really fighting a cold. When you're resizing anything in Photoshop and you want to keep the same aspect ratio and you don't want it to look funky, you don't just drag it like this. Look how it's smushy. That's going to look weird. Okay, we're going to cancel that out. Hit Shift. I'm holding down the Shift button on my keyboard, and then drag. It keeps it the same, okay? For this instance, since this is landscape, we could hit Shift and drag this to where we want it. I'm not really sure that that's what we want to go for. This picture is one way, and the bottom picture is the other way. So if you come up here to Transform, make sure you're on the layer you want to transform, okay? Let me say that first. come up to edit and maybe transform, and we're going to flip horizontal. Now you can flip it that way. You can also come up here to transform, and you can flip it vertical, okay? And that's going to help tremendously. You can also, if you want to flip the entire thing, so let's step backwards. As always, undoing. Edit, step backwards. You also have a history panel here, right here, that shows you everything you've done, which I tried some things before I opened this up. So we are really, if you want to get back to that, to the new layer, or to where you put it on there. Now, if you want to move this whole thing, you can go like this. If you hover over this, so you can move, if you hover right next to the line, you'll get these two little arrows, and you can just move it just like this, okay? Then you can go in the middle here with your mouse, click down, hold, drag. Now, holding the shift key down, I'm going to resize this, okay? And hit OK. So now we have it completely covering our, our bottom image, but it looks weird. It's not showing through. Well, here comes in Photoshop where you have all of these blend modes, okay? Normal, dissolve, darken, multiply, color, burn. You will use these a ton when you are editing in Photoshop. Learn them well. They are very key and very helpful. You can try some of these and see what you like. If you go overlay, it does like that. I'm not really sure I like that. It kind of gives it a feel that I'm not looking for. You can go to lighten. That kind of gives a little bit of a snow appearance. So basically, you're taking these two images, the snow image and the girl, and you are blending them together, okay? Overlay. Where's hard light? See, that doesn't really do the effect. Screen is usually what I use for snow overlays. Now, in my opinion, that snow's a little too harsh. Come on, Photoshop. There we go. So, but I think it's giving us the best. I zoom in and out also. I have a scroll on my mouse. You can go up here to view to scroll in and out, to zoom in and out. There's also keyboard shortcuts. But when you see me do this, it's on my mouse. I have a wheel on my mouse. Now, granted, you could leave it like this, or you could bring down the opacity of your snow, okay, which does help. You can also put a mask on your snow and say you don't want her to have, you want some on her so it looks more realistic. However, you don't necessarily want it covering her face. So if you come down here to masks, which this is add layer mask, you can also go up here to layer, and you can choose any kind of other layer that you want, including a layer mask that you want to add. But I always go down here because it's the quickest. And I'm going to add a layer mask. And a layer mask will take away or add things from your photograph. It gives you more control. So with a layer mask, I'm going to use, it is a white mask. So I'm going to use a brush, a black brush. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make sure it's on soft brush, not hard, soft. And then I'm going to come in here and this isn't your brush opacity. So if you want 100%, you can put it 100%, or you can bring it down to about 79, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start taking off some of this snow. Look carefully as I take off some of that overlaid photograph. I think I'll leave some of it on her, but I don't necessarily like this one. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut to make my brush smaller, and I'm going to take this one out. Or you can go up here. It's the bracket keys on your keyboard that control your brush size, or you can go here and do it. Maybe I don't like this one right here. I'll take it off. Maybe I think that the snow needs to have brightness and contrast changed. Then I might go up here to layer, add an adjustment layer, and add a curves layer. Now with this curves layer, I'm going to name it snow because I want to remember that this is going to be attached to my snow layer. And if you want this layer to only affect your snow layer, you want to clip it to it. If you don't clip it to it, you're going to affect the entire image, not just the layer that you're wanting to work with. So I'm going to hit OK. And as you can see over here, this is clipped down to your snow layer. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down a little bit. And it's going to make that snow a little bit darker and not quite as noticeable. I'm working in RGB. I'm not working in the colors. I'm working in RGB. If you bring up this, it will make your snow brighter. This is a curves layer, and curves is very, very, very powerful. You can change lots of things, whether it be color toning, adjustments, brightness, contrast, shadows, highlights. Tons of things can be changed in your curves layer, and I will do a tutorial at some other point in time just on editing in curves because it is so powerful. But for me, I want to tone down this snow just a little bit, maybe bring the highlights, and we can shut this off so you guys can see what we're doing here, just working in the snow layer. How it's changing it, brightening it, bringing it down. All these eyeballs over here, if you ever want to shut off a layer so you can see exactly what you're doing, you can shut them off. Excuse me. All right, so I think we're good there. We've got some snowfall. Now what if I think, well, I want some more snow? This is all personal preference. I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to come up here to, these are the open images, okay? And I'm going to pick another snow layer. What about this one? Let's try this one. I'm going to use my keyboard shortcuts, Control A to highlight the entire image, and then Control C to copy it. And then I'm going to go over here to my girl, and I've got another layer here. Remember I created that layer? Here, I'll take it away. Create another layer down here, and then you want to click on it, and I'm going to do my keyboard shortcuts, Control V to paste this layer on. I'm going to go over here to my Move tool. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to drag this thing just like that, and I'm going to hit OK. If you did not like what you did and you want to reverse it, this is commit, and this is go back or cancel. So I'm going to commit to this. Now, I want to use a blend option, so I'm going to go to Screen, and this is going to screen this over. Now, if you want to shut off your other snow, you can shut it off to see what the difference is between the two. So here's with one snow layer, and here's with two snow layers. I actually like this. It's kind of cool. A little different. Now, do we want to remove any from her face will be the next question. And if you do, let's view this. For some reason, my scroll isn't working. Dear Photoshop, please work. All right. If we want to remove some of this off of her face, say we don't like that right there. Let's see here. There we go. Sometimes when you're in this option and it won't let you scroll in and out, go to your hand over here, this little dude over here, I hope you can see it, and you can then have more power. So I don't necessarily want to block her face with any snow. I don't mind this, that's fine. I might turn down the opacity of this layer a little bit, and what opacity means is that how see-through is it? Right now it's not see-through at all. Well, when you turn down the opacity, here, I'll turn the snow layer off so you can really see. When I turn down the opacity of this layer, it really kind of, well, I went too far. Watch it come back. See how it's, see right here, watch right here. It'll really come back until you're at full strength, okay? You will use opacity throughout 95% of the stuff that you do in Photoshop, whether it be blending, whether it be painting, whether it be painting with light, using brushes, what have you. Learn to love opacity because it'll give you a ton of control. Well, I'm going to turn this down a little bit, like I said. Excuse me. And then I'm going to slap a layer on it, or a mask on it. What am I talking about? Here's your mask right here. Down here is your mask. And I want to take off some of this right here. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to my brushes, and I'm on a white mask. So I need a black brush to take away. Okay, and I'm all the way down here in black. I want to make sure I'm on a soft brush and not a hard brush. And I'm going to scroll in and I'm going to take this out. Now, this is only dealing with this layer because that's all we want to deal with. We don't want to take her away. We just want to take the snow away. So I'm going to make sure that there's no real snow on her face area. And then I want to scroll around here and see, maybe that one's a little too much. I'll take it away. Just for instance, maybe I don't want that one there. Maybe there's a little too much over here. I think it's a little too crowded. Totally up to you. And there you have it. This is how you can add snow overlays, and we'll add the other one back in. So there you have your finished product, and you can mess around with these as much as you want. You can change the opacity, how much they show up, how much they don't. You can add a curves layer to change the brightness or even the tone if the snowflakes had kind of a warm tone to them and you wanted them to have more of a cool tone, you could change all of that in a curves layer. Now if I wanted to change it on this layer's already been changed. I would need to add another curves layer on top of this right here and clip it to that layer so that I could, manipulate that layer appropriately. And then when I'm all done, I can either save this on my desktop as a Photoshop document, which means I can open it back up and all my layers will be there. I can save it as a JPEG, okay, and it will not save it with layers. Or I can save it as a PNG for Facebook posting, which will have the best sharpness, resolution, what have you, saturation, not resolution, saturation, so that it'll show up the best on Facebook, which that's something I will cover in another tutorial. You can save it however you want, wherever you want. Now, once you come up here and flatten this image, like I'm going to do, it just took all my layers. Let me step backwards. Watch my layers, okay? I'm done. I know I'm never going to make any more changes to this ever in its lifetime. I come up here to flatten. Flatten is exactly what it means. It flattens your entire image, all the layers, everything that had anything to do with this image, actions, presets, anything, are all flattened. And then once you close out of Photoshop, there's no getting that back if you did not save that as a Photoshop document. So keep that in mind. Because a lot of times what I'll do is I'll do something like this, or I'll do a composite, and I'll save it as a Photoshop document because tomorrow I'll look at it and I'll be like, that's not right, or I don't like this, or I don't like that, and I want to make changes. I always suggest saving at least one copy of it as a Photoshop document so that you can open it back up and you'll have all your layers and all your work will be there and you can make adjustments as necessary. That's just me, but I would definitely suggest that. But that's it for today's tutorial, guys. I'm going to create a link in the group for this tutorial, and I will also be giving you guys these snow overlays at no charge, okay? And if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me anytime by Messenger. Have a great and wonderful day.